I want to bring in former U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York, Preet Bharara. He was, of course, dismissed by President Trump in March. He's been a fierce critic of the Trump administration. Preet, good to see you. Thanks for being on. Looking at this case, just as a legal analyst, what are Summer Zervos' lawyers hoping to get from these documents, and does she really have a chance of getting anything?
Look, as your segment just pointed out, there are lots of reasons why people want to serve document subpoenas, and this is one of those cases. The President of the United States himself is long known for being someone who is not afraid of litigating to make a point, not just to get a money judgment. Now, my expertise is in criminal law, not so much in defamation and libel law, but it seems that this plaintiff in particular is, playing a game of what's good for the goose is good for the gander. And so even if this person does not ultimately prevail on the merits, I think the hope, probably as a litigation strategy and also as sort of a public relations strategy, is to strike back at some of the things that Donald Trump has been saying over and over again, and to have some evidence to support the fact that Donald Trump shouldn't go out of his way to say the things he's saying because they're not true.
If you, President Trump, I know he doesn't take advice a lot from people who would presumably know better, but if
not from me.
But you would probably have said to him when these allegations come forward, don't go after any of these women, don't call them liars, because then they have the grounds to go after you for defamation.
Look, I think there are probably a lot of occasions, not just this occasion, where the lawyers have been telling the President of the United States, and when he was President-elect, the best thing for you to do is to keep your mouth shut. The best thing for you to do is to ease up your Twitter finger. And obviously, as we know, time and time again, the President doesn't take that advice. It's probably not great for him legally.
There's an interesting story, and it might shed some light, perhaps, on why you were dismissed by the President in March. You were told that he wanted to keep you in your position as a U.S. attorney. He told you that. In March, of course, he asked for your resignation. There's this new report in the Washington Post suggesting one possible reason for that. Turkish President Erdogan, it says, had previously been demanding that you be fired in the previous administration because of this U.S. case against a Turkish gold dealer who has ties to Iran. Do you think that that might have something to do with why you ultimately were fired, and what would the reasoning be using this theory?
Jake, I have no idea. As I think people know, I was fired somewhat inexplicably in March after being beseeched to stay on for another term by the President of the United States. We have this case against a gentleman by the name of Reza Zarrab. It's currently pending in the Southern District of New York in my old office. And the report suggests, and I know this to be true because I know from people who were in the meeting, that last September 2016, President Erdogan of Turkey, who seems to be something of an ally of the president on a lot of different things, urged that I be fired so the case against his ally in Turkey, Reza Zarrab, might go away. I think that's disturbing. Whether or not it had anything to do with my ultimately being fired, what we do know is there was this case pending. We do know that the president of Turkey himself, in a kind of outrageous way, asked for the firing of an American prosecutor at the highest level with the Vice President of the United States. And also we know that Michael Flynn had relationships with the government of Turkey, and he was a member of the transition team, and then for a period of time was the national security advisor. So I'm not making an accusation, but there are a lot of issues relating to the relationship with Turkey and requests being made by the government of Turkey, and I think those things bear some more questions being asked.
Indeed. I want to ask you about Attorney General Jeff Sessions, who sent a hate crimes attorney to Iowa to help prosecute an individual who's been charged in the murder of a transgender high school student. What do you make of that? It's not the kind of thing normally that one would have expected from Attorney General Sessions, but is this just an Attorney General using every tool in the tool belt?
I think the Attorney General of the United States, Jeff Sessions, with whom I disagree on some things, and lots of folks disagreeing with him on many things, should get some credit for making available important resources from the Department of Justice with respect to this heinous, what it appears to be a hate killing in Iowa of a person who is transgender. That does not mean, in the minds of many people, that he's off the hook for how he has dealt with issues of discrimination on the part of various groups with respect to either the transgender population or others. But I think we can all be happy that he cares enough about this issue to send someone. But the standard should be more than only caring when someone is actually murdered in an act of discrimination and bigotry.
All right, Preet Bharara, thank you so much.